Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Thanks for coming to my channel. Yes, it has been 3 weeks since I've been here, and I promised you guys weekly, and I really was feeling bad about it. I'm so sorry that I have broken my promise yet again. It's been a really hard couple of weeks from a work standpoint, from a mental health standpoint. There's a lot of changes happening in my life, I guess you could say, that I'm just trying to keep on top of. I posted on Instagram last night saying I'm sorry for not posting and explaining that I had a panic attack and kind of just encouraging everyone to keep on keeping on. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should. I post way more regularly on there, and plus I post lots of cute pictures of my son, so why would you not want to follow me? That was really awkward. The reason why I don't know. I'm trying to find a good balance for how often I should be posting. My husband has started a YouTube channel a few months ago. I don't know if some of you know that. And he posts a lot of like tutorial stuff for editing and photographers and videographers and stuff like that. He's super talented. So if you're interested in that, you should definitely follow him. Shameless plug. So we're just trying to find the balance between, the weekends where he gets to vlog and I'm supporting him and watching our son, and vice versa, where I get to film my videos and he's with spending time with our son as well, but all the while doing these projects while still prioritizing, family time and family life. So thanks for bearing with me for just not being super consistent. Also, whenever I'm having a challenging time, especially with my mental health, I don't like to come on and film when I'm like having a panic attack or if I'm really, really depressed, because, you guys know I like to be real with you, and I definitely share when I'm feeling down, and I have some videos where I share when I'm having a really crappy day, but it's usually when I'm kind of like almost at the end of overcoming it. The reason why I do that is because sometimes when you're feeling really down and you're having a panic attack, the best thing for me to do is not to like throw it out there on social media. The best thing for me to do is to try to get to the bottom of it and take care of it and take care of myself. At the end of the day, and this really helps me as a perfectionist not to feel super guilty if I'm not here every week, is recognizing that I can only give you guys what I have inside of me. And it's really important to me that I give you 100% every time I'm here. I really appreciate those of you who really do sit through my videos and really come to it, hoping to gain something from my videos. And I want to make sure that I'm giving you the best that I can. And so that sometimes means that I'm not always going to be here, and that sometimes means that I need to take care of myself. And I highly encourage you to take care of yourself too. If you're feeling like maybe you committed to too many things on a weekend and you're feeling super burnt out from the week, don't be afraid to cancel, and don't feel like, oh, they're gonna think I'm a bad friend. Like, if they do, then they're not good friends. But it's really liberating when you finally realize that you're worth taking care of. I mean, you can't give from an empty cup. That's literally, once I heard that, I was like, gosh, there's so much truth in that. If you need to take time for yourself, take time for yourself. And I'm always telling you to do that on this channel. So if I'm here when I'm like mid panic attack or mid depression or mid anxiety, it seems super hypocritical. So you won't find me on here if I'm having a bad day. Unfortunately, I can't plan my panic attacks. So that's why sometimes I'll say, oh, I think I'll be here next week, and I'm not. And sometimes, I need to be supportive of my husband's channel and my husband's projects. I'm so proud of him for starting his YouTube channel, for having a creative outlet. He's so talented, and I just want to make sure that I'm also there for him. So anyway, let's dive in. Today, I'm really excited because we're talking about something really important, something that, if anything, the last 2-3 weeks of me having panic attacks and depression and issues, I feel like I've unearthed this from the last 3 weeks of suffering. And that's the great thing about this channel, is I feel like my suffering becomes more redemptive. I feel like the crap that I go through, I get to turn around and hopefully help others who are going through it too, or who may go through it and just want to learn. Today's topic is going to be about hardship, and I don't want to take all the credit here because I feel like this topic has been in my head, but I haven't really been able to name it. And it wasn't until I was scrolling through Instagram. I follow this super awesome boss mom. She has 7 kids. Some of them are adopted. Some of them are her biological kids. She's a huge inspiration to me. Her name's Angie Braniff, I think. But her YouTube channel is called This Gathered Nest. Her Instagram is also called This Gathered Nest, and I'll link them both below. She had a post yesterday about, well, actually it wasn't from yesterday. I was Instagram stalking her, and I went to a really old post, and she was saying how she went on a camping trip, shortly after having her twins. She had twins, and she was like, we almost skipped our annual camping trip because I just had babies, but everyone was so excited about it. We just decided we were going to go and make the best of it, even though we knew it was going to be challenging. And I thought, wow, when I had my first newborn, I didn't want to drive more than 5 minutes away. And here she went on a camping trip because she has 7 kids, you know, and her older kids want to go somewhere and whatever. But what struck me in her post was she said, I wanted to make sure that we made the best of it, acknowledging the fact that hard isn't always, what did she say? Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting it. Hold on. Oh, okay. So she was saying that we're conditioned to think that hard is always bad when sometimes hard is just hard. It's not always bad. There's definitely hardship that's bad, right? But sometimes there's hardship that isn't all that bad, that isn't, bad in like the true sense of the word, like, evil. And she said that having 7 kids, just shows her how to slow down and enjoy the little things. And I really love that because, no matter how many kids one has, or even if you don't have any kids, like we could all use a reminder to slow down and enjoy the little things, smell the roses kind of a thing. So that's what we're going to be talking about. What I wanted to reiterate is in our culture, we are conditioned to think that hardship is always bad, right? We live in a microwave society. We live in an instant gratification culture where we always want things right now. I am the worst at that. Like I struggle with like constantly wanting to go out and buy food or wanting to get the quick thing and not wanting to make things from scratch. Not only because I don't have time because I'm working from home and everything, but I know myself enough. I'm aware of my habits now. Not all of them, but I'm getting better. And one of the things I struggle with a lot is instant gratification. I want to feel good now. I want to be where I want to be in 10 years now, all of these things. And I think that's really not good because it causes us to not want to deal with any sort of hardship, any sort of setbacks. So we look at all of these things, failures, as horrible obstructions to our happiness, and that inhibits us from being able to be happy right now today. And I am on a quest, you guys, to learn how to be truly content. I'm reading books about it, I'm reflecting on it, I'm praying about it because I think it's something that we all struggle with no matter what stage of life we're in, no matter where we live, no matter our income, our background. The struggle to just be happy now with what you have it's a skill, I think. And it's one that I'm working really hard to learn because I think no matter what, if that's the one thing I can teach my kids, how to be content and grateful, I think that's huge. The key thing about this is when you're dealing with hardship, you really don't want to avoid or ignore the experience. You don't want to suppress the emotions that come along with it either. A lot of times when people feel sad about something, they want to ignore it. They think sadness is weakness, when sadness actually serves a huge purpose. I don't know if you guys watch Inside Out, but one of the most beautiful philosophical things about that movie was sadness had a function. Everyone was saying that joy was the best emotion and all these other emotions were better, and that joy and that sadness didn't really matter. But in the end, it was like sadness who kind of saved the day. It's been a long time since I watched the movie, but watch it and you'll see what I mean. All of our emotions have a purpose. That's why I wanted to get into the different kinds of hardship, right? So there's some hard things that are actually good. There's some hard things that are, truly bad. And then there are some hard things that are bad and that we actually choose, that we choose unaware. That is something I want to address first. So this has to do with the broader topic of boundaries, but let's just say you keep walking into a group or a place or a relationship that's really bad for you and that you could actually choose to walk away from. There's some hardship that we can't choose in our lives. That's just the way life goes. But I noticed that in my life, there was a lot of hardship that I walked into over and over again. And oh my gosh, it drives me nuts when I think about it. And I have to go, Mia, don't be angry at yourself. Don't be pissed at yourself. At least you learned. Be grateful that you learned. And a lot of times I have to remember, I'm 24 and I'm learning these lessons now. Like, I'm so grateful for that. I should be so grateful for that. And that's why I'm here talking to you, because I want you guys to learn it too. If there's a place or a person or a thing that you keep walking into and that's hurting you, I want you to start being more aware of how you're feeling. Stop suppressing how you're feeling, because if your gut is telling you that you don't like the vibes and you don't like how you're being treated, maybe it's time to make the hard decision to set up a boundary and go, I don't need to participate in this. I don't need to interact with this. I don't need to be a part of this, and remove yourself from that. That's a type of hardship that is truly evil that we can actually choose to get out of. And I highly recommend that you do a really gritty, ruthless analysis of how you feel about all these different things in your life, and analyze and write down what are all my relationships? What are all the groups I'm a part of? How do I feel about my job? All of these things, really writing down how you feel and go, what can I help? What can I not help? Because sometimes even the people, you might be in a job that you really don't like, but you're kind of stuck there for whatever reason. But that doesn't mean you need to be stuck in all of these negative situations, right? You should help yourself. Even if you got yourself out of one bad relationship, or even if you stopped going to this one like group that met every Saturday and that you just hate going to, but you feel like you have to go to for some reason. Even if you improved your energy level and your happiness by one iota, by just removing one negative experience, it'll just feel so good. Like you'll be so much lighter, and then you'll all of a sudden have an awareness and gain the courage to now start uprooting these other weeds that are honestly taking over your life. So I hope that makes sense. So I did kind of relate it to a personal thing, but just so you know that I'm not just pontificating and just talking out of nothing. Like, I'm sharing this with you because I've spent so much time, money, and energy on relationships and trying to be a part of cliques and groups and crap like that, wanting so bad to be liked and accepted, to be a part of something, and it never helped. It was so damaging to me, and I'm just so grateful. And it was actually therapy, honestly, that helped me to see that. But again, I talked about this in a previous video, but there's a book called Boundaries, and I'll link it down below because you really need to read it. I'm not finished with it yet, which is why I haven't talked about it at length, but it just brings an awareness, like, do I have boundaries in my life, or do I let people run all over me? And there's another book about like acceptance, and it's called Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown, and I'm in the middle of reading that as well. I have like way too many books that I'm reading all at one time, but yeah, like it's this desire to be accepted and liked. It's very normal. It's a very human desire, and you shouldn't hate yourself for it. You definitely shouldn't. But I think I'm so grateful that I finally removed myself from like these cliques and these groups and these things that I wanted to be a part of, and I so desperately wanted to be accepted into. And I'm now focused more on loving myself, accepting my life just the way it is, the things that are already there, taking care of the things that are already there, the people that are already here in my life. And it brings a whole new level of contentment. Like, you're not constantly disliking yourself, feeling like, oh, this group's not accepting me because I'm not good enough. Like, that's not true. You just don't fit into that group. And one of the things that Brene Brown in Braving the Wilderness, which I'll also link her book below, she talks about how once you really accept yourself and you love yourself, it doesn't matter whether you're a part of a group or not. You are okay either way. And there's this amazing quote by Maya Angelou that she quotes in there that just sums it all up. But I'm going to let you read the book. It's really amazing. I'm in the middle of it, and I'll probably talk more at length about it when I'm done reading it. But please know that anything I'm sharing with you, it's not just some hypothetical mumbo jumbo. Like, I'm sharing what I've learned from hard-earned experiences of spending years of time and energy trying to be liked. And as soon as I let that go, it just gave me room to be like, Mia, there's nothing wrong with you. And there's nothing wrong with you. If a group's not working out with you, like, the most important thing, and even people who are in groups, it's not the end all be all. The most important thing is learning how to be comfortable in yourself, in your own skin, your own company. That's what matters. So that's the whole section on like bad things, hardships that we can and should avoid. And then what about hardships that are actually good for us? And you're like, what kind of a freaking hardship is good for me, Mia? Like, what are you freaking talking about? So these hardships, they're hard to acknowledge when you're in them, right? Because we experience so much resistance. We don't like it. And I'm talking about morning sickness, pregnancy, birth. I'm talking about therapy, exercise, eating healthy. These are good hardships. Pregnancy and birth could mean you become a new mother, and therapy is a huge hardship, but it could lead to a huge level of self-awareness and your ability to heal and become content with your life, even though you might cry through your whole session, which I've definitely done many times. There's exercise, which I can't even tell you how many benefits there are to exercise. I'm just starting to learn about them, but not just physically, obviously, but psychologically, how on a physiological level, the hormones that your body produces when you're exercising or after you've exercised, those endorphins, how healing they can be to your brain, especially if you're stressed, which is when we really don't want to exercise, but when we really should. But I'm not an exercise scientist or like a professional, but I just encourage you, like, the more you learn about the benefits of these things, the more motivated you are to commit to them. And like birth, we all know birth sucks. I mean, I'm stressing out about my birth. Like I am, and maybe I haven't really been doing videos about my pregnancy, but I'm worried about it. I had a really horrible first birth experience. I had really bad postpartum depression, and I'm trying to remind myself that just because it happened last time doesn't mean it's gonna happen this time. But I'm really excited for this new baby to come, and I'm so excited for my son to have a sibling and for them to grow and form a bond, and I'm really excited about that. So there's goodness. And what sucks is if I'm so stuck in the hardship of, man, I can't wait till I'm not pregnant anymore, man, I'm only halfway done, man, like when is this going to be over, then you're constantly wanting to be somewhere else in the next moment, next year, next week, whatever it is. You're robbing yourself of the ability to be happy right now. And that really sucks, because one day you're going to run out of tomorrows. You're not going to know if you're going to be around tomorrow, or if, you know, that family member or friend is going to be here tomorrow. Life changes in an instant. And if we're constantly just like, oh, in the future, things will be better, then you're missing out on all the good that's happening now. When I say good, I don't mean things that always feel good. Sometimes I'm talking about the formative lessons that come from these hardships. I'm learning how to be really freaking good at time management now that I am pregnant and have to manage my baby's not here yet, but I have to really manage my energy. I get really exhausted, and I have to really plan out how much work I need to do, balancing it with errands, taking care of my son, taking care of my brother, taking care of my home, meals, errands. It's a lot. And I'm becoming really freaking good at, I'm learning to embrace this experience instead of just hoping that and just waiting for this pregnancy to be over. I'm trying to get something from it. I'm trying to grow from it. So if you're constantly ignoring and resisting these hardships, these good hardships, you're not really going to grow as a person. And so that's why I'm just like really reiterating, you know, therapy, it's a hardship, but you grow a lot from it. Every time I'm about to go to therapy, I'm like, why do I go to therapy? It takes so much time. It takes so much money. I'm not rich, y'all. Like, I'm just like you guys, like college debt, you know, young married person, second kid on the way. I take care of my brother. It's not easy, okay? It isn't easy to justify spending money on therapy. But every time I go to therapy, I walk out a stronger person, a more healed person. And it's going to take a while. And I'm trying to be patient with myself and realize that spending that money on my healing is a good thing. But it's challenging, you guys. But that's a hardship. It's a hardship, but it's a good hardship. So the last type of hardship is sucky, bad hardships that we can't help, like a family member being sick, or a divorce happening, or just any sort of bad stuff that happens, like someone being fired from work. Maybe it was you. Things that we can't help, things that are out of our control. Like, how can, you know, Mia, like, how can you tell me that those things are going to be good for me? And all I can tell you is the person I am today is truly, everyone quotes this, and I just feel, I feel like so redundant saying it, but I was really thinking about why I'm so motivated and who I am. And I realized I've been through a lot of crap in my life, okay? I've been through a lot of crap, and that's not to say that I've been through the worst. No, I know there are people who've been through way worse than me, but there's a story that I heard when I was in high school that really helped me approach my suffering differently. And it was, there's two men. One is in jail and one is like a successful business person. And somebody asked both of them, like, you know, asked the rich guy, how did you end up being so rich and successful? Like, your dad was like a drunk and a drug person and ended up in jail. Like, this is a really botched way of telling the story, but I'm trying to be fast about it. And the rich guy was like, well, because my dad was like such a mess, like I didn't want to be like that. I saw how unhappy he was and I chose a different path. And then they asked the same question of the person who was in jail, the man who was in jail. He's like, well, my dad ended up in jail and was addicted to drugs and alcohol, so why would I have been any different? And it's so interesting because these people had the same experiences, they had the same father, but they became different people. They chose different paths. And so I really do believe that, you know, the hardships that we can't help, whether it be abuse, you know, molest, rape, all this nasty crap that happens in the world that should never happen, it can become super formative for us. And if you're still having a hard time understanding what I mean, try looking up documentaries or just like books about people. There's that book, it's called man, everyone always recommends it, but I don't remember the name, but it's like honestly read any of the books of like Nazi concentration camp survivors and how some of them just approach life in a way that I'm like, how do you do that? Like, you were treated like an actual piece of dirt and you almost died and you lost your whole family, and here you are impacting millions of lives with your story. So it is possible, you guys. Like, grace is real, God is real, and you can get through, you can triumph, and you can become stronger. That being said, I still have panic attacks. I have nightmares every night. I haven't had a normal night's sleep in months. It's really taking a toll on me. But that's because there's a lot of shit that happened in my life. I'm so sorry for the bad words. There's a lot of things that happened in my life that there's some I have processed and used as fuel, and there's some I haven't processed. There's a lot I have suppressed, and that's why I'm going to therapy. So with that being said, I really want you to focus on what can you do when there's a hardship that you can't control and that you can't avoid. If someone's sick in the family, could you offer to pray for them every day and really be intentional about that prayer? Not just say it, oh, you're in my prayers. Like, don't be that person, which I've made that mistake of texting someone that I'm praying for them and I forget to pray for them and I feel horrible about it. Can you make them a meal? Who do you know that's sick or like just had a baby or is maybe morning sick and can't even cook because it makes them want to throw up? Who can you help? The next thing is, if you're having a panic attack, which again is a hardship you can't avoid, that just sucks. One of the things I've learned to do when I'm having a panic attack is either go through my list of things that could potentially be helpful. Look, none of these things are gonna like guarantee you that the panic attack will go away or make you feel 100% better, but I've noticed from my years of having panic attacks that the act of just doing something to help myself in that moment is actually super healing. And sometimes my brain is so crapped out from the anxiety that's overwhelming me that I'll just ask my husband, like, hey, he knows I'm having a panic attack. I'm usually on the couch looking extremely numb and crying, and he'll be trying to comfort me. He'll ask me if there's anything I can do, he can do, and I'll ask him, like, what do you think I should do? I don't know what to do. And I'll tell him how I'm feeling, and he'll be like, you should take a shower. And I'll be like, oh, I'm too tired to take a shower. And he'll be like, do you want me to like, clean the bathtub so that you can like take a bath and not have to actually like stand in the shower? Or he'll be like, do you want me to make you some tea? Or he'll say, maybe you should, do some yoga, or maybe you should go lay down in bed and actually be comfortable. Maybe it'll help you sleep. Having someone to talk to who can guide you when your brain is just crapped out is super helpful. So if you want a list of things that you can do when you're struggling, in my video, what I've been doing to combat my insomnia, I'll link it down below. There's gonna be so many links below. I go through this whole list that I worked on of things that you can do when you're struggling with insomnia, which usually is triggered by anxiety. So that list I think is really helpful, and I definitely reference it now. I'm so glad I actually sat down and made it because I go to it. One of my favorite things, well, a few of my favorite things to do when I'm having a panic attack is drink some sort of herbal tea, take a shower with like lavender aromatherapy soap because that lavender smell like really calms me down. Ask my husband to give me a back massage or a shoulder massage. Journaling sometimes, but sometimes I'm too tired to even do that. Or watching something that's purposefully inspirational or beautiful so that you can kind of like de-stress or cry it out. Yeah, what I'm basically saying is that when you have hardships that life deals you that you can do nothing about and they just suck, ask yourself, what can you do to face this head on? Because if you ignore how you feel and you ignore the experience and you resist it, it's literally like weeds. They're gonna grow in your soul and they're gonna overrun your soul and take over and crush you and envelop you and make you feel even worse. And then you're gonna be walking around with this heavy burden and be wondering why you feel that way. Basically, the takeaway from this video is, starting this week, what can you do to, be more aware of how you feel? And one of the things you can do is just try being more aware by asking yourself questions. How am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling resistance? What am I about to do? Am I about to go to work? Why am I feeling so much resistance here? Do I not like my job? Or are you about to go to this like group that you are involved in and you feel resistance there? Acknowledge when you're feeling resistance and ask yourself, am I resisting this because it's hard good? Am I resisting this because it's hard bad and I can't help it? Or am I resisting this because it's hard and it's actually something I can avoid? Am I going to go hang out with someone who always makes me feel down when I leave? Or am I going to go to watch this TV show that, it's exciting in some parts, but overall kind of makes me feel crappy because there's a lot of stuff in it that I don't really like. Acknowledge how you feel, guys. I'm not trying to be a yogi, Zen master, whatever. I honestly suck at meditating. I'm trying to get better at it. But when it's so powerful to just acknowledge how you're feeling, because it's telling, like, God gave you emotions for a reason. They're supposed to tell you something about your body. You need to listen to your body. They're communicating something really important to you. So listen to them, ask yourself why you're resisting, and then it's one of three things, right? There's 3 different hardships. Just recapping. There's hardship good, like pregnancy, therapy, exercise. There's hardship bad that you can avoid, like toxic relationship. And then there's hardship bad, can't do anything about. You can't heal someone who maybe has cancer, but maybe you can do something to help them, help the family, or help that person, or just be there. Evaluate what you're feeling, what kind of hardship it is, and then what should be your appropriate response to it. I know this has been a super long video. Here I literally thought, oh, it'll be 5 to 10 minutes long. But you guys, I'm so passionate about this. I can't contain like all the stuff I want to share with you. And I just really think that our ability to be content in this life, in every moment, comes down to how we handle hardship, because we can't escape hardship, guys. We can't escape it. It's always going to be there. Yes, there are valleys and there are peaks in life. There are times when there's a ton of hardship and there's times with a little bit less hardship. But I really think our ability to be content is one of the things. Is how do we handle hardship? Do we resist it and allow that resistance to kind of overwhelm us, or do we face it and we acknowledge it and we figure out what we can do about it? So I hope that video was super helpful. I am praying for you guys always. I love you guys. Thank you for participating in like my Instagram and commenting. Thank you for messaging me. As always, comment below if you have any questions or have any comments, and I will see you. I don't know when I'm going to see you, hopefully soon. If you have any specific topics that you want me to talk about, you can always find me on Instagram, DM me. But yeah, I'm happy to be here with you guys, and I hope you're having an awesome 3-day weekend. I will see you in the next video. Bye.